Interesting facts about planet Earth. That brilliant blue marble that has fascinated mankind since they first started walking on its surface. And why shouldn't it fascinate us? In addition to being our home and the place where life originated, it remains the only planet we know of where life thrives. And over the past few centuries, we have learned a great deal about the Earth, which has only increased our fascination with it. But how much does the average person really know about planet Earth? You've lived on planet Earth all your life, but how much do you really know about the Earth beneath your feet? You probably have a lot of interesting facts swirling around in your brain, but here are 10 more interesting facts about the Earth that you may or may not know. 1. Plate tectonics provides comfort on the planet. Earth is the only planet in the solar system with plate tectonics. In fact, Earth's outer crust is divided into areas known as tectonic plates. They float on top of Earth's magmatic interior and can move against each other. When two plates collide, one plate sinks, passes under the other, and where they diverge, they allow a fresh crust to form. This process is very important, and for a number of reasons. Not only does it lead to tectonic upwelling and geologic activity, i.e., earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, mountain building, and the formation of oceanic depressions, but it is also an integral part of the carbon cycle. When microscopic plants in the ocean die, they fall to the ocean floor. Over long periods of time, the carbon-rich remains of this life are carried back into the Earth's interior and recycled. This pulls carbon out of the atmosphere, ensuring that we don't suffer from the rampant greenhouse effect that occurred on Venus. Without the action of plate tectonics, there would be no way to recycle this carbon, and the Earth would become an overheated, hellish place. 2. Earth is almost a sphere. Many people tend to think that the Earth is a sphere. In fact, between the 6th century BC and the modern era, this remained the scientific consensus. But thanks to modern astronomy and space travel, scientists have since come to understand that the Earth is actually shaped like a flattened sphere, aka a flattened spheroid. This shape is similar to a sphere, but where the poles are flattened and the equator is convex. In the case of the Earth, this convexity is due to the rotation of our planet. This means that the distance from pole to pole is about 43 kilometers less than the Earth's diameter at the equator. Although the highest mountain on Earth is Mount Everest, the furthest point from the center of the Earth is actually Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador. 3. The Earth is mostly made up of iron, oxygen, and silicon. If you could divide the Earth into piles of material, you would get 32.1% iron, 30.1% oxygen, 15.1% silicon, and 13.9% magnesium. Of course, most of this iron is actually in the Earth's core. If you could actually go down and sample the core, it would be 88% iron. And if you were to sample the Earth's crust, you would find that 47% of it is oxygen. 4. 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. When astronauts first went into space, they first looked at the Earth with human eyes. Based on their observations, the Earth was nicknamed the Blue Planet, and this is not surprising, given that 70% of our planet is covered by oceans. The other 30% is solid crust above sea level, so it is called continental crust. 5. Earth's atmosphere extends over a distance of 10,000 kilometers. Earth's atmosphere is densest within the first 50 kilometers or so of the surface, but it actually extends about 10,000 kilometers into space. It consists of 5 main layers: the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Generally, the pressure and density of air decreases the higher it enters the atmosphere and the farther it is from the surface. The bulk of the Earth's atmosphere is near the Earth itself. In fact, 75% of the Earth's atmosphere is contained within the first 11 kilometers above the planet's surface. However, the outermost layer, the exosphere, is the largest, extending from the exobase, located at the top of the thermosphere at about 700 kilometers above sea level, to about 10,000 kilometers, 6,200 miles. The exosphere merges with the void of outer space, where there is no atmosphere. The exosphere consists mostly of extremely low densities of hydrogen, helium, and a few heavier molecules including nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. The atoms and molecules are so far apart that the exosphere no longer behaves like a gas, and particles are constantly flying off into space. These free-moving particles follow ballistic trajectories and can migrate in and out of the magnetosphere or with the solar wind. 6. The molten iron core of the Earth creates a magnetic field. The Earth is like a huge magnet, with poles above and below that are close to the actual geographic poles. The magnetic field it creates extends thousands of kilometers from the Earth's surface, forming a region called the magnetosphere. Scientists believe that this magnetic field is generated by the Earth's molten outer core, where heat creates convection motions of conductive materials to generate electric currents. Be thankful for the magnetosphere. Without it, solar wind particles would hit the Earth directly, exposing the planet's surface to considerable radiation. Instead, the magnetosphere directs the solar wind around the Earth, protecting us from harm. Scientists have also suggested that Mars' sparse atmosphere is due to the fact that it has a weak magnetosphere compared to Earth's, which allowed the solar wind to carry it away slowly. 7. It doesn't take the Earth 24 hours to rotate around its axis. It actually takes 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds for the Earth to completely rotate around its axis, which astronomers call stellar day. Now wait a second, doesn't that mean the day is 4 minutes shorter than we think it is? You would think that this time would add up day by day, and within a few months, day would turn into night and night would become day. But remember that the Earth revolves around the Sun. Each day the Sun moves about 1 degree compared to the background stars about the size of the Moon in the sky. So, if you add up the little movement of the Sun that we see because the Earth revolves around it, as well as the rotation around its axis, you get a total of 24 hours. This is what is known as a solar day, which as opposed to a stellar day is the time it takes for the Sun to return to the same place in the sky. To know the difference between the two is to know the difference between how long it takes the stars to appear in the same place in the sky, and how long it takes the Sun to rise and set once. 8. A year on Earth is not 365 days, it is actually 365.2564 days. It is these extra 2,564 days that create the need for a leap year every 4 years. That's why we choose an extra day in February every 4 years: 2004, 2008, 2012, etc. The exception to this rule is if the year in question is divided by 100, 1900, 2100, etc., unless it is divided by 400, 1600, 2000, etc. 9. Earth has one moon and 2 co-orbiting satellites. As you probably know, the Earth has one moon, aka the Moon. Much is known about this organ and we have written many articles about it, so we won't go into details. But did you know that there are 2 other asteroids that are in co-orbital orbits with Earth? They are called 3753 Cruithne and 2002 AA29, which are part of a larger population of asteroids known as near-Earth objects, NEOs. The asteroid known as 3753 Cruithne is 5 kilometers across, and is sometimes called Earth's second moon. It does not actually orbit the Earth, but it has a synchronized orbit with our home planet. It also has an orbit that makes it look like it follows Earth's orbit, but in fact it follows its own, different path around the Sun. Meanwhile, 2002 AA29 is only 60 meters across, and makes a horseshoe-shaped orbit around Earth that brings it closer to the planet every 95 years. In about 600 years, it will apparently orbit the Earth in a quasi-satellite orbit. Scientists have suggested that it might make a good target for a space exploration mission. 10. Earth is the only known planet on which there is life. We have found past evidence of water and organic molecules on Mars, as well as the building blocks of life on Saturn's satellite Titan. We can see amino acids in nebulae in deep space. And scientists have speculated about the possible existence of life under the icy crust of Jupiter's satellite Europa and Saturn's satellite Titan. But Earth is the only place where life has actually been found. But if there is life on other planets, scientists are conducting experiments to help find it. For example, NASA just announced Nexus for Exoplanet System Science, which will analyze data sent by the Kepler Space Telescope, and other missions yet to be launched, for signs of life on extrasolar planets in the coming years.